Hello, world shufflers and stargazers. Welcome back. Today, we delve into a story that reminds us that even the briefest infinities can hold the weight of forever. We're talking about love found in the unlikeliest of places, about the beautiful, terrible, and often absurd reality of living while facing the end. We journey into the heart of Hazel Grace Lancaster, a universe contained within lungs that need a little help, a mind sharp as polished obsidian, and a spirit that refuses to be defined solely by illness. Grab your tissues, maybe an oxygen tank for symbolic measure, because we are revisiting the poignant, funny, and unforgettable world of The Fault in Our Stars. Our story begins not with a bang, but with a breath, a carefully administered breath, facilitated by a portable oxygen tank named Philip. Meet Hazel Grace Lancaster, 16 years old, living with thyroid cancer that decided stage 4 wasn't dramatic enough and set up colonies in her lungs. She moves through life tethered to Philip, a rolling reminder of her borrowed time. Depression, as she puts it, isn't a side effect of cancer, it's a side effect of dying. Or perhaps a side effect of living with the constant awareness of it. Her mother, ever hopeful, ever proactive, believes Hazel needs more than just medical intervention. She needs social interaction, community, something beyond rereading her favorite book, An Imperial Affliction, for the millionth time. And so, Hazel finds herself reluctantly deposited into the beige embrace of a cancer support group, held, quite literally, in the heart of Jesus, or at least in the basement of an Episcopal church shaped like a cross. The group is led by Patrick, a relentlessly upbeat survivor whose own brush with mortality involved a rather intimate encounter with testicular cancer, a fact he shares with unwavering enthusiasm. The members are a rotating cast of teenagers navigating the treacherous landscape of adolescence, compounded by diagnoses that sound like distant planets: osteosarcoma, lymphoma, Ewing's sarcoma. They share stories, fears, triumphs measured in scan results. For Hazel, it's mostly an exercise in enduring platitudes and forced optimism. Until one day, someone new disrupts the familiar rhythm of shared suffering. He arrives, a lanky figure with a prosthetic leg and an easy confidence that seems almost out of place in the literal heart of Jesus. He's watching Hazel, intensely, unashamedly. This is Augustus Waters, Gus, former basketball prodigy, now navigating the world minus one leg, courtesy of osteosarcoma, currently, blessedly, in remission. When it's his turn to share, Gus speaks not of his fear of oblivion, a common refrain, but of his intent to live an extraordinary life, to leave a mark. There's a performative quality to him, a charm that borders on theatrical, but it's captivating. He catches Hazel's eye again, a slow smile spreading across his face. And later, outside, he approaches her, his gaze direct, unsettlingly perceptive. "What's your name?" he asks. "Hazel." "What's your full name?" "Hazel Grace Lancaster." He savors it, repeats it. "I'm Augustus Waters," he declares. "I've been looking for you." It's a bold line, audacious even, but delivered with such sincerity, such charisma, that Hazel is momentarily speechless. He pulls out a cigarette, a move that sends Hazel reeling. How could someone who survived cancer possibly smoke? But then comes the flourish, the explanation that defines Gus in this initial encounter. "They don't kill you unless you light them," he says, holding the unlit cigarette between his lips. "And I've never lit one. It's a metaphor, see? You put the killing thing right between your teeth, but you don't give it the power to do its killing." Hazel, resistant to cliches, finds herself begrudgingly intrigued. This isn't just charm, it's intelligence, a playful defiance aimed squarely at the universe that dealt them both such difficult hands. He invites her over to watch a movie, V for Vendetta. She accepts. This simple exchange, this collision of two young people navigating extraordinary circumstances, feels like the beginning of something significant. a shift in the orbits of their carefully managed worlds. Present at this first encounter, albeit temporarily blinded by recent eye surgery, is Isaac, Gus's best friend. Isaac is grappling with his own impending darkness. Relentless eye cancer means he'll soon lose his remaining eye, plunging him into total blindness. His immediate concern, however, is his girlfriend Monica, and the fear that their relationship won't survive his loss of sight. Isaac provides a grounding counterpoint to Gus's sometimes lofty pronouncements, his pain raw and immediate. His presence underscores the shared fragility within this small circle. The invitation leads to Gus's house, a place filled with encouraging, slightly cheesy needlepoint affirmations. Bless this mess, home is where the heart is. It's jarringly normal compared to the life and death stakes lurking beneath the surface. They watch the movie, Gus occasionally stealing glances at Hazel, his interest palpable. Hazel, guarded but curious, finds herself drawn into his orbit. Their connection deepens through late-night phone calls that stretch into the early hours, conversations that roam from the profound to the mundane. They talk about their cancers, yes,
but also about books, movies, fears, dreams. Gus introduces Hazel to the novelization of his favorite video game, The Price of Dawn, a tale of heroic sacrifice and explosive action. Hazel, in turn, insists Gus read An Imperial Affliction. This book becomes central to their burgeoning relationship. Written by the reclusive Peter Van Houten, An Imperial Affliction chronicles the life of Anna, a young girl living with a rare blood cancer. Hazel feels an intense kinship with Anna, recognizing her own experiences mirrored in the protagonist's journey. But the book ends abruptly, mid-sentence, leaving Anna's fate, and the fates of all the other characters, her mother, her maybe boyfriend, the Dutch tulip man, hanging in agonizing uncertainty. For Hazel, this isn't just a literary device, it's an existential crisis. Having stared into the abyss herself, she needs closure. She needs to know what happens after. Does Anna's mother remarry? Does the Dutch tulip man prove to be a con artist or a true love? Does Sisyphus the hamster survive? These questions consume her. She's written countless letters to Peter Van Houten over the years, mailed to his last known address in Amsterdam, none ever answered. Gus, ever the man of action, devours the book. He understands Hazel's obsession, her desperate need for an ending. He sees it not just as a desire for narrative closure, but as Hazel grappling with the uncertainty
of her own future, the futures of those she'll leave behind. Gus, captivated by Hazel and her fierce intellect, makes her quest his own. He manages, through sheer persistence and perhaps a bit of digital ingenuity, to track down an email address for Van Houten's assistant, Lidovij Vliegentaart. He emails her, and miraculously, Lidovij replies. She passes Gus's message and Hazel's burning questions onto the elusive author himself. Then, the impossible happens. Peter Van Houten emails Augustus Waters back. It's cryptic, dismissive in tone, stating he cannot possibly answer such profound questions via email. He implies that perhaps, if they were ever in Amsterdam, he might elaborate in person. Amsterdam, the home of Peter Van Houten, the setting woven into An Imperial Affliction, the city of canals and history. It seems impossibly far, a dream tethered to the reality of Hazel's fragile health. But Gus possesses something Hazel doesn't, a wish. Granted by the genies, the foundation that fulfills desires for kids with cancer, Gus had held on to his, unsure of what grand adventure warranted its use. Now, he knows. He wants to use his wish to take Hazel Grace Lancaster to Amsterdam. The idea is breathtaking, terrifying. Hazel's parents are hesitant, her medical team even more so. Traveling internationally with compromised lungs is a serious risk. Dr. Maria, Hazel's primary oncologist, is particularly concerned about the potential for fluid buildup in Hazel's lungs at altitude, the lack of immediate access to her specialized care. The dream seems destined to remain just that. Hazel retreats, resigned, protecting herself from disappointment. She tries to push Gus away, arguing she's a grenade, destined to explode and obliterate everyone nearby. She doesn't want to inflict that pain on him. But Gus doesn't back down. "It would be a privilege to have my heart broken by you," he tells her, a declaration of stunning vulnerability and commitment. He sees past the illness, past the grenade metaphor, to the girl he's falling in love with. He refuses to let fear dictate their story. Then, unexpectedly, things shift. Hazel experiences a terrifying episode. Her lungs fill with fluid, landing her in the ICU. It's a stark reminder of her precarious health, seemingly the final nail in the coffin for the Amsterdam trip. But emerging from the crisis, stabilized though weakened, Hazel finds her medical team has had a change of heart. Perhaps spurred by the close call, perhaps recognizing the profound importance of this trip for Hazel's emotional well-being, they give their cautious approval. Her mother will accompany them as chaperone and medical support. The trip is back on. Amsterdam awaits. The journey to Amsterdam is layered with anticipation and the low hum of Hazel's medical needs, the constant presence of the oxygen tank, the careful monitoring. But stepping out into the vibrant streets of Amsterdam feels like entering another world, a page from Hazel's beloved book brought to life. The canals shimmer, bicycles glide past ancient gabled houses, tulips burst with colour. It's beautiful, romantic, a world away from the support group and hospital waiting rooms. Gus has arranged everything. Their hotel is charming, overlooking a canal. He reveals he's planned a special dinner. Dressed up, Hazel in a simple blue dress, Gus looking sharp despite the slight awkwardness of his prosthetic. They dine at Orange, an elegant restaurant by a canal, bathed in soft light. The champagne, gifted by Van Houten according to the restaurant, tastes like stars, Hazel remarks. They talk, truly talk, about life, love, their fears, their hopes. Gus confesses his love for Hazel. "I'm in love with you, Hazel Grace," he says, his voice sincere, stripped of any performative flourish. "And I know that love is just a shout into the void, and that oblivion is inevitable, and that we're all doomed, and that there will come a day when all our labor has been returned to dust, and I know the sun will swallow the only earth we'll ever have, and I am in love with you." Hazel, overwhelmed, touched, reciprocates. "I'm in love with you too, Augustus Waters." It's a moment of pure, unadulterated connection, a fragile infinity carved out against the backdrop of their finite time. The following day holds two significant events. First, a visit to the Anne Frank house. The climb up the steep, narrow stairs is an immense physical challenge for Hazel. Each step is a labor, her breathing ragged even with the portable oxygen concentrator. Tourists jostle past, oblivious. Gus stays behind her, offering quiet encouragement, his presence a steady anchor. Reaching the top, the attic where Anne and her family hid, is a victory. In that space, steeped in history and the poignant words of another young writer facing unimaginable circumstances, surrounded by the weight of the past, Gus and Hazel share their first kiss. It's tentative at first, then deepening, a declaration made amidst the echoes of history. The applause from the other visitors is unexpected, slightly surreal, but feels strangely fitting, a recognition of the life-affirming power of their connection in a place dedicated to memory and loss. From this peak of emotional intimacy and historical weight, they journey to meet Peter Van Houten. The anticipation is electric. Hazel carries her list of questions, the culmination of years of wondering. They arrive at his house, a slightly dilapidated building mirroring the author's own state. Lidovai greets them warmly, but her expression holds a hint of apprehension. And then they meet him. Peter Van Houten is not the wise, empathetic sage Hazel imagined. He's drunk, disheveled, bitter. He blasts loud Swedish hip-hop, treats them with disdain, mocks their earnestness. He refuses to answer any of Hazel's carefully prepared questions about Anna's fate or the Dutch tulip man. Instead, he offers cruel, pseudo-philosophical pronouncements about the nature of suffering and the pointlessness of seeking meaning in fiction. He implies Hazel's desire for answers is merely a projection of her own fear of death. It's a devastating encounter. Hazel's image of the author who understood her so deeply shatters into 1,000 pieces. She confronts him, her voice trembling with anger and disappointment, calling him out on his cruelty, his cowardice. Gus defends her fiercely. Lidovai, appalled by her employer's behavior, finally intervenes, condemning his drunken cruelty and resigning on the spot. She insists on taking Hazel and Gus sightseeing to salvage the afternoon, attempting to apologize for Van Houten's abysmal behavior. The dream of finding answers dissolves into the harsh reality of a broken man hiding behind his words. The magic of Amsterdam feels tainted, the trip irrevocably altered. Later, back in the hotel room, the emotional fallout continues. Hazel is processing the crushing disappointment, the unfairness of it all. Gus seems quiet, withdrawn, and then he delivers the news that changes everything, the fault line that ruptures their carefully constructed present. He tells Hazel that before they left for Amsterdam, he had a PET scan. The pain he'd been experiencing, the pain he'd perhaps downplayed, wasn't nothing. His cancer is back, and it's everywhere. His body, as he puts it, is lit up like a Christmas tree. The remission is over. The disease is aggressive, spreading rapidly. The world tilts. The romantic dinner, the kiss in the Anne Frank house, the fight with Van Houten. Everything is suddenly recast in this terrifying new light. Hazel's carefully guarded heart, the one she'd finally opened completely to Gus, cracks. The grenade metaphor she feared becomes horrifyingly real, but the roles are reversed. Gus is the one whose time is suddenly, tragically, running out much faster than anyone anticipated. The Amsterdam trip, meant to be a quest for answers about a fictional ending, becomes the backdrop for the devastating beginning of Gus's very real one. There, in that hotel room, facing the canals, their brief infinity feels impossibly fragile, threatened by the encroaching shadow of oblivion. The return flight home is heavy with unspoken grief, the reality of Gus's diagnosis settling upon them like a physical weight. Back in Indianapolis, the vibrant colors of Amsterdam fade into the familiar landscape of treatment centers and hospital rooms. The dynamic between Hazel and Gus shifts profoundly. Where once Gus was the charming instigator, the one pulling Hazel towards adventure, now Hazel becomes the anchor, the steady presence navigating the storm of Gus's accelerating decline. His health deteriorates rapidly, cruelly stripping away the vestiges of the confident, charismatic boy she met at the support group. The cancer ravages his body. He loses weight, strength, becomes increasingly dependent on others. Simple acts become monumental struggles. Hazel is there, a constant companion, witnessing the painful dismantling of the boy she loves. She reads to him, holds his hand, sits in silence when words fail. Her parents, initially wary of Gus, now embrace him, offering support to both teenagers. Gus's parents hover, their faces etched with a permanent, helpless sorrow. There are moments of defiant humor, flashes of the old Gus. Isaac, now completely blind but navigating his new reality with acerbic wit, remains a loyal friend. He visits Gus, often venting about Monica, who broke up with him shortly after his surgery, fulfilling his worst fears. Their friendship, forged in the crucible of shared illness, provides moments of normalcy, albeit a normalcy punctuated by medical equipment and existential dread. One particularly harrowing incident crystallizes Gus's vulnerability and Hazel's unwavering support. Gus, feeling desperate for independence, attempts a late-night solo trip to the gas station to buy cigarettes, the unlit, metaphorical kind. Weak, feverish, and disoriented, he fumbles with his G-tube feeding line, which has become infected, making a mess in his car. He calls Hazel in a panic, ashamed and terrified. She finds him there, slumped in his car, covered in vomit, utterly broken. There's no judgment in her eyes, only love and fierce determination. She helps him clean up, comforts him, calls for help. In this moment of profound indignity, their love shines brightest, stripped bare of romance, revealing its essential core, unwavering presence in the face of suffering. As Gus weakens, knowing his time is critically short, he conceives of one last act, a final performance imbued with his unique brand of theatricality and profound love. He calls Hazel and Isaac. He wants to attend his own funeral, not literally, but a pre-funeral, held while he's still alive to hear what they'll say about him. They gather once again in the literal heart of Jesus, the setting of their first meeting. Patrick is absent this time. It's just the three of them. Gus lies there, physically diminished but mentally sharp, his eyes fixed on his friends. Isaac goes first. Blind, guided by Gus's hand to face him, Isaac delivers a eulogy filled with raw honesty, anger at the universe, and deep abiding love for his friend. He speaks of their shared jokes, their video game battles, Gus's unwavering support during his own struggles. He doesn't shy away from the pain, the unfairness. Then it's Hazel's turn. She stands before Gus, her voice thick with emotion but steady. She speaks of their love story, comparing it to an infinity, a forever within the numbered days. She talks about mathematicians and the concept that some infinities are bigger than other infinities. "I cannot tell you how thankful I am for our little infinity," she says, tears streaming down her face. "I wouldn't trade it for the world. You gave me a forever within the numbered days, and I'm grateful." Gus watches her, his own eyes wet. It's a moment of unbearable beauty and sorrow, a farewell spoken while life still flickers. It is, perhaps, Gus's final masterpiece, orchestrating this raw, intimate goodbye, ensuring his friends know their impact, hearing their love expressed before silence falls. 8 days later, Augustus Waters dies. The notification comes quietly, inevitably. Hazel knew it was coming, but the finality is devastating. Her world contracts, the colors dim, grief washes over her, vast and suffocating. Her parents offer comfort, silent support. She calls Isaac, sharing the news. Their shared loss creates a bond deeper than ever. The actual funeral is a somber affair, filled with people Gus knew, family, friends, former basketball teammates. Hazel feels detached, floating through the rituals of mourning. She delivers a different eulogy this time, more conventional, edited for the wider audience, focusing on Gus's bravery and spirit. It feels inadequate, a pale imitation of the raw truth shared at the pre-funeral. And then, an unexpected figure appears at the graveside. Peter Van Houten. He looks slightly less disheveled than in Amsterdam, perhaps sober, but his presence feels like an intrusion. Hazel confronts him later, demanding to know why he came. He reveals, haltingly, that Augustus had maintained contact with him after Amsterdam, sending him letters. He also reveals the source of his own bitterness, the ghost haunting his life. Van Houten had a daughter who died young from cancer. An imperial affliction wasn't just fiction. It was an echo of his own unbearable loss, Anna a stand-in for the child he couldn't save. The abrupt ending mirrored the way his own daughter's life was cut short, leaving him adrift in unresolved grief. This revelation doesn't excuse his cruelty, but it reframes his pain, casting him not just as a monster, but as another soul broken by cancer's indiscriminate wake. He tries to give Hazel a piece of paper, but she, still angry and hurt, refuses it, telling him to get out of her car. Days turn into weeks. Hazel navigates the landscape of grief, the world seeming both empty and suffocatingly full of Gus's absence. She revisits places they shared, rereads An Imperial Affliction, searching for solace, for meaning. Isaac, also grieving, becomes a frequent companion. They talk about Gus, share memories, try to make sense of a world without him. One afternoon, Isaac mentions that Gus had been writing something before he died. He'd said he was working on something for Van Houten, possibly a sequel to An Imperial Affliction. Or perhaps responding to Van Houten's request for a eulogy for Hazel, something Gus had furiously refused when the author drunkenly suggested it in Amsterdam. Hazel remembers the paper Van Houten tried to give her at the funeral. A frantic search ensues. Maybe Gus did write something for her. Maybe he found a way to give her the ending she craved, not for Anna, but for them. She emails Lidovij Vliegentart, the kind assistant who had resigned in disgust from Van Houten's service. Lidovij responds quickly. Yes, Augustus had sent pages to Van Houten. She had found them amidst the author's scattered papers after Hazel and Gus left Amsterdam. Moved by the content, she had edited them slightly for clarity and sent them back to Gus. Now, understanding their significance, Lidovij emails the scanned pages to Hazel. Hazel opens the attachment, her heart pounding. It's a letter, not a sequel, but something infinitely more precious. It's Gus's eulogy for her, written in his final days, sent to Van Houten for feedback, or perhaps simply as a final act of connection with the author whose work had inadvertently brought them together. Gus's words fill the screen, his voice echoing in her mind. He writes about her beauty, her intellect, her fierceness. He writes about meeting her, about falling in love. He addresses the pain of mortality, the fear of oblivion, but counters it with the certainty of love. He writes about choices. You don't get to choose if you get hurt in this world, but you do have some say in who hurts you. I like my choices. I hope she likes hers. He speaks directly to Hazel, across the divide of death itself. He affirms the value of their time together, the infinity they shared. He doesn't offer easy answers or platitudes about heaven. Instead, he offers the truth of their connection, the enduring mark she left on his life. What else, he writes? She is so beautiful. You don't get tired of looking at her. You never worry if she is smarter than you. You know she is. She is funny without ever being mean. I love her. I am so lucky to love her, Van Houten. You don't get to choose if you get hurt in this world, old man, but you do have some say in who hurts you. I like my choices. I hope she likes hers. Tears stream down Hazel's face as she reads. It's not the ending to an imperial affliction she once sought, but it's the ending, or rather, the continuation, she truly needs. It's proof that their love, though brief, was real and resonant, leaving an indelible mark. It's the assurance that she mattered, that their little infinity mattered. Lying on her back in the familiar grass of her backyard, looking up at the vast expanse of the same sky Gus looked upon, Hazel Grace Lancaster finds a measure of peace. The grief hasn't vanished, the pain isn't erased, but it's tempered by the enduring power of Gus's love, preserved in his final words. Life is still uncertain, her future still tethered to Philip the oxygen tank, but something fundamental has shifted. She has loved and been loved fiercely. She has known an infinity within her numbered days. Gus's final written words resonate. I do, Augustus. I do. She likes her choices. Looking up at the stars, acknowledging the pain, the beauty, the love, the loss, the whole damn messy miracle of being alive, even for a little while, Hazel offers her simple, profound acceptance. A quiet affirmation whispered to the universe, a promise to carry their story forward,